morning. This is Jenny from Gemini Crafts. I'm a Stampin' Up demonstrator based in the centre of the UK in a small market town called Brackley. Thank you so much for joining me today. Hi Fiona. So Thursday is my evening session, which seems to be quite popular. So if it is popular, I will carry on doing it in the evening. It just shuffles things up a little bit. And it does mean that some people can catch me live that otherwise wouldn't see me. So hi Tracy, and hi Fiona, and hi Maureen, and Jeanette, and Jane, and Scylla, and the few more that are going to join in between, I'm sure. So this week we have been concentrating on this Celebrate Sunflowers stamp set. It works entirely on its own, or you can use it with the matching dies. For the first part of the week, so Monday and Tuesday, I just did stamping, and this was one of the cards that we made. Well, I made. I've also used the textured embossing folder to make that Whisper White card a little bit more interesting. And I've added a die cut thanks onto the centre of it. Let's see if I've got any other samples. No, they've all, I've moved them all out and sent some of them already. So on Wednesday I stepped that up a little bit and introduced the outline die, and this was the one that I created yesterday. And this features, as you can see, the sunflower and the leaves, and what I've done is I've used the dies to cut those out. So the dies that come as a matching set are these ones here on the left hand side. So you have a detailed die at the top, you have an outline die of the large and the small sunflower underneath, you have an outline leaf which I have here. Hi Carol, hi Molly, which is that one there. Hi Scylla. And then you have a detailed one, and then you have these two beautiful designs and a centre with some dots in it. So let me show you what those look like when you've actually used them, because it's quite difficult to tell sometimes what they actually are. Hello Valerie. So here are the dies as they are cut out. So the top 5, as you can see, match the stamp set. So you've got the large sunflower, the small sunflower with the leaves, the 2 leaves, which actually is a single stamp but cuts into 2, and then the large leaf on the right hand side. And then down at the bottom we have this outline sunflower, really detailed, really pretty, an outline detailed leaf, these 2 sets of florals, so they could be flowers or they could be foliage, and then you have the centre with the dots in. So a really nice combination. You could use this set of dies on their own, with the only exception being this one here, because these can all be put together. So you could use the leaves, you could use this outline to go underneath here, as you'll see shortly. You can use the florals, but the only one that wouldn't really make any sense on its own without a stamp is this one here. Okay, so what we're going to do for this evening is use these dies, and I'm just going to show you how easy it is to put the sunflowers together and just give you some ideas on how to make a few cards with those designs. So I'm just going to leave that up there. I know it's slightly out of your shot. So what I'm going to do is just put some components together so you can see them. So I've die cut the outline sunflower, which obviously could be stamped as well, in So Saffron and soft suede. I've got the detailed die here, and I've got some centres. I've cut some gold and snippets of early espresso that I had left. I've got some leaves, and I've die cut some with the stamp, and then these are the ones just using the dies here. So I've die cut garden green and granny apple green, and I've reversed those so you get a different effect. Here is the foliage, which, as I said, is really pretty. So you get two different styles. One bends slightly to the left, one bends slightly to the right. And obviously you could ink that up, you could colour in with blends pens to make these into flowers. If you did it in a white or a vanilla or a pale colour, then you could colour the stalks in green and then the flowers, but I think it works like that. It certainly would work like a wheat sheaf or something. I know it's the wrong shape, but you know what I mean. So there's some more of those, and then this one here is the centre of this flower. It's not a separate die. All I did was literally take my scissors and snip this edge off so that I could make a different coloured centre. Okay, just to make it a little bit more interesting. And I used the sample in the catalogue actually for that. I looked to see what they had done. Let me find it for you. Oh, bless you. Hi, Brenda. Hi, Moretta. When the computer stops twirling. Okay, so this is the sample in the catalogue here. And so they did a darker detail. And can you see they did a brown, which I assume is espresso. Or maybe soft suede. And then a darker centre. So that was the idea that I got for cutting that piece out. Now I would say that this die cuts out really, really easily. In some of our older dies, which were the Sizzix dies, the dies were thicker metal, and our new dies are a lot thinner. And so popping out of these is really, really simple. The only thing I had to use a piercing tool was for some of these little dots in the middle. And bear in mind, my Big Shot is a good few years old. But it was really quick just to do those centre holes. So if you're thinking, oh, that's far too fiddly for me, I promise you it literally just fell out of the die. So if you like, would you like me to see one? Would you like to see me cut one out, and then you can see how quick it is? Let me move these out of the way. It'd be funny if you all said no, wouldn't it? Hello, Carol. Let me move this one out of the way. And I'll just pop the Big Shot up so you can see what I'm doing. So here's my sturdy Big Shot. I appreciate it's taking up a lot of space, but I just wanted you to see how easy this die runs through. So I'm just using this piece of So Saffron card, happens to be cut and scored. I just borrowed it from my stash. But what I do is put it in the middle so that I can still use this as an outside layer. Just going to move this up a little bit. Find the die. Hello Sandy, nice to see you. Let me just move this up, make sure I don't knock the camera stand with the Big Shot. So I've got the die which I'm going to place face down actually in the centre of here because I want to be able to use that, the outer edge. And I'll just put the top layer on. So I've got a standard Big Shot sandwich if you like, and I'll just wheel that through and back. Sorry, it's got my hand in the way. Okay, so I've just done that literally once. Okay, and now if I take that out, how pretty is that? And I'm just going to pick up a corner of that, and you can see how easily these pieces just fall out. So it's not, if you had a lot, I mean you could do, I could have run that through twice and it would have come out even quicker, but just to show how quick and easy that is. It's not fiddly die in the slightest, and I'm not one for fiddly dies as you probably know. So the only thing I had to do was pop some of those tiny little holes out there. Okay, and these get embedded onto the plate, so my trick for clearing those out of the way is just to take a piece of card. I'll just turn this round here, and then use the card to scoop them off the edge, like so, straight into the bin. Okay, I'll just do that, rather than trying to pick them up, you know, a few at a time, because especially with these plates, which as you can see are very well used. Right, let me take this out of the way now. So I hope you could see that was a really, you know, really easy way to get that out. That's one I missed. But they, you know, they just come out so easily. So let me show you how you can put these flowers together. So there's lots of combinations of colours of sunflowers. You'll see lots of different ones. So to get this centre, all I did was actually took a square of card, I didn't cut the whole thing out, and put it over this part of the die. So literally just put it over that little part there and ran it through. So let's assume this is the one I've just done. And then all I did to get the effect of the centre was just literally run my scissors round. And because this is a sort of speckled edge anyway, deckled edge I should say, you can just literally hop round and cut it off, so that you get a different colour centre, like so. And because it's going to go on to another flower that's got those same little bits there, it really doesn't matter. Okay, if you wanted to, you could be a little bit more accurate and sort of round any sort of ones that's sticking up. But especially if you've got darker card, you're not really going to see it. So that's how I got that centre there. Okay, let me put some of this together for you. Hello Carol. I can't remember if I said hi to you or not. So I'm using a silicone mat so that my glue doesn't go everywhere, and it makes it really easy just to wipe it off afterwards. This is not a Stampin' Up one. It's a very old one. It has got Stampin' Up stays on pictures of baubles, however, but it will do the job. So just to show you how you can put one of these flowers together, just going to use a combination really. So this obviously will fit in one particular place, and what I've found I'm doing is looking for these petals that sort of fall to the right. I don't know if you can see that. And if you look round here, these fall to the right. And so after yesterday, where I couldn't work out the top or the bottom or whatever, suddenly it's a lot easier to find. So look for the ones, there's a whole set of them that go to the right. All of the others are fairly upright. If I turn that slowly, can you see that? So if you're looking for matching, okay, of the dies, look for the ones that turn to the right. If you're using the stamp set, then I showed you yesterday an easy way to line up the die with the stamp set. So if you haven't seen that one, then do hop back and have a look. Let me just poke out the last of those. Oh no, I don't need to poke out the holes because I'm going to put that on top. So having found the position where they match exactly, all I'm going to do is put some glue on the back of this main centre yellow piece. And I'm just thinking where I put my glue. Oh, here it is. Actually, yes, I'm going to glue that down. So just a light amount of glue. Try and avoid the larger holes if you can. And I'm quite happy for this not to be stuck straight all the way down. If you wanted it stuck all the way down, you could add a little bit of glue on some of those joins if you wanted to. So just look for the larger joins, pop some glue on. You could put your glue on a sponge and sponge that across. So I'm looking for those ones that go at an angle, and this is definitely where you want to use wet glue, because you can put it on and then just check you've got it nice and straight. It's actually quite difficult on that surface for you to see, isn't it? Let me move that out of the way. There we go. Can you see that all right? Oh, hi Claire. Nice to see you. And hi Verity. Claire, I was really sorry to hear about Sean's loss. That's very sad for you. Okay, so there is one layer of sunflower. Obviously you can vary the colours entirely. So for the centres, as I said, what I've done is I've actually cut around there to get a brown centre. That's my last little bit almost of early espresso. And then I've got the centrepiece that I cut out with the die. So I've got a combination really. I've got some gold, I've got espresso, so you can vary those. So you can have a lighter middle if you wanted, with an espresso in the centre. It's really your choice depending on what card you've got. And if you haven't got the exact right coloured card, you could always use a blend pen or an ink pad to change the colour of your base card. So if I really wanted espresso, I could put some espresso ink onto a bit of soft suede or something to make it darker. However, I had a delivery literally 10 minutes ago, so I'm hoping that my espresso card might just be in Okay, so I'm going to pop that on, and I'm either going to use, I might use gold in there just for a change. I think I will. So you've got various options here. You could put the gold underneath and pop that on top. You could obviously put some dimensionals on. You could also bend this round slightly and add a dimensional behind it to give it a little bit of height, like so. So let me just do that. Just going to use my bone folder. And you could put these pieces through the textured embossing folder as well to give it additional texture. That would look really nice. So I've just bent that very slightly with the gold. If I turn it over, you can see that a little bit better. I'm going to pop a dimensional behind it, just to give it some height, like so. And then you can choose which way round you want that layered. And I've seen it done different ways. Sometimes people that put that down first and then pop that on top. I think that's what I'm going to do. This doesn't fit exactly in there. It's slightly bigger. Or if it does, I haven't found out the way. Hi, Sarah. So I'm just going to pop that on there, like so. And then this one I'm going to put around it, like so. And I'm just going to use the wet glue for that. So this is just showing you how to put the sunflower together, or one of the ways. I'm sure there's plenty of other ways. You can put this over the actual stamped image as well, if you wanted to. Okay, so the center is up on a 3D dimensional, and then I'm just going to pop this down and hold it down just till it sticks, because it's slightly proud over the gold. Give it a minute or two, so it gives it quite some depth with that. There you go. If you can, you probably can't really see that on the side. Okay, so that's one way to put the sunflower together. And as I said, you've got options for the leaves. So you could stamp the leaf and add it, or you could use the 2 layers of die cut and add those. Really just depends on what you prefer. I quite like the stamped image, I have to say. You could combine the stamped image with the outline as well if you wanted to, with that detail. Okay, so having shown you that, okay Jane, no worries, let's make some cards. So those are some of our components, and let me show you, my first thought actually was, so yesterday we stamped this sunflower in Misty Moonlight on crumb cake, and I've done another one and run it through the textured embossing folder. I don't know if you can see that detail. And then what I did was I made a blue sunflower, because I thought that would work really nicely. Hi Bridie. I thought that would work really nicely. So this is Misty Moonlight on the top and Night of Navy underneath, and I've used crumb cake for the centerpiece, and that one I have also run through the embossing folder. Tasteful Textiles to give it more of a surface. So I thought that would look rather nice on there. And I also stamped on Misty Moonlight some leaves, so that you could, if you wanted to, tuck those in. Now I know we don't really have blue sunflowers, but there's a lot of fabric with blue sunflowers on. So that was my reason for using the blue. So I quite like that, but then I thought I would step it up from that because I was inspired by this paper. And this is one of my favourite papers in the Flowers for All Seasons paper pack. So this is 6 inches by 6 inches pack. And it features lots of really pretty florals and foliage and patterns. And although I was happy with that, I decided I want to step it up. So I've cut a Misty Moonlight A6 card. I've cut a piece of that to fit, and I'm going to pop the flower on there. So I just thought that looked really you know, bright and cheerful. I could have had a yellow centre, I suppose, but I wanted to keep that level of neutrality. So, which do you prefer? Do you like the stamped background or the pattern background? Because that's what I'm going to make up. I am going to, I've got one of these, funny enough, already, so I might use that. So which one do you prefer? And that's the one that I'll make up for now. So do you like the stamped background or the paper background? Nothing said you can't have blue flowers, says Carol. She's quite right. Carol says both. Hi Karen, nice to see you join us. So I'm only going to make one of those for now. I'm going to make up another flower later, but Moretta says DSP. Yeah, that's my feeling. Paper, 2 for the paper, 3 for the paper. That's good enough for me. So I'll keep that one and do another blue flower maybe for that. So really simply, so I have stuck this down already. So I haven't got an extra layer. I've just gone for that as is. So I'm just going to pop these layers together. Now I have got my new seal. So this is the replacement for the snail. Okay, it's called a seal. It does stand for something, but I can't remember. It comes in this little pouch with like a zip, you know, a zip enclosure, zip closure, so that if you are out and about, you can keep it in there and keep it nice and pristine. Slightly bigger centerpiece to hold on to, and slightly more on the reel. It has a removable top, so the other one, I'll get it out, just used to flip back, but this one actually comes off altogether. And it's I've had a little go with this, and I have to say I really like it. So we have Stampin' Seal, which is repositionable up to a certain point in time. The Stampin' Seal Plus is permanent from the get-go. Okay, so for this will work perfectly. So we'll give this a go. I'll put it on wonky and we'll try it out. So it's a what's the word? It's a different angle to the other one, and you can't hear it click either. So it's very sticky. I appreciate you can't necessarily see that line of stickiness, but it is very sticky. So just to prove, rightly or wrongly, whether I can remove this. I'm going to put this down wonky, like so. Okay, now if you'd done that with snail, you might have been lucky actually to peel it off. But, yep, you can peel it off. Like so. So, does what it says. Now I'm going to have it straight and pop it down. There we go. Okay, so that's my layer. So that is the Stampin' seal. And you can buy refills for this. So it works the same way as the old ones. And you just prise it apart at the top and drop the new cartridge in. Like so. Okay, let's pop our sunflower on. And I think I'm going to pop that on with dimensionals, which I have here. Can you see that okay, everybody? Oh, Wedgwood, yes, Moretta. Yes, that's a good point. I do like blue and white. Oh, CSL. I thought you'd come up with some new a new anagram there that I didn't know. Not an anagram, that's the wrong word. What's the word I'm after, where you're using letters instead? I can put one in the middle actually. Bink. There we go. So here's my sunflower, which I'm going to put sort of up left hand side, slightly high, so I've got space for my sentiment. And I'm just going to tuck some of these blue leaves in. I wasn't sure to do blue leaves, but then I looked at the pattern and they've got blue leaves. That's good enough for me. So I'll use the seal for that. How am I going to remember that? Called it snail for so long. Hey ho. So for small areas, it's come out really well. It's a really good coating of adhesive on there. 2. Do the last one. 3. There we go. Just have it popping up at the top. There we go. And then I've got Love and Thanks to a Dear Friend, which I'll pop up on dimensionals because I've left my leaf in the way, unless I can get away with that. I quite like it a little bit too, otherwise it looks a bit squashed up, so I'm going to do that. Could do that. Alright, let's put this down first, so you can remove it. Right. So it's a beautiful sunny evening here now. It certainly wasn't earlier. We've had lots of really nasty rain. So this sentiment I've stamped and I've punched out with our new lovely label punch. Okay, which I'll show you in a second for my next one. I just happen to have that ready. And let's just tuck this back in under here. I'll give it a good amount of pressure. There we go. So our blue sunflower. Okay, let's do something different. And here I've got traditional sunflower colours. So here you can see is where I cut out another sunflower background. But I made sure I put it in the middle so that I could cover that up so it doesn't get wasted. And then I'm using this one here. So I'm using Just Jade. This side is really pretty with the tulips. So I'd chosen the Just Jade Dotty before I realised what was on the back, but I'm sticking with it. So let's pop this layer on. So this is soft suede layer here. So let's just do that. There we go. So this is gliding on really easily. I know some people had an issue with our snails sometimes. Oh, she says. Let me just roll it forward. It's about the angle, and I think I'm doing this at the wrong angle. Hold on. Huh. Technical hitch here. See, I spoke too soon, didn't I? Let me just do it on a scrap. I don't want to do anything else on there. Bear with me 1 second. Oh, there we go. I was pushing it the wrong way to feed it on. There we go. Okay, so I've got my snail on there. This is going to go onto white card, like so. So this is just a pre-cut and pre-scored thick whisper white, like so. And then I'm going to put that layer on the top. Sorry, tulips. There we go. And that is going to go onto there. Voila. And then my sunflower is part put together. So this is Daffodil Delight underneath, and this is Bumblebee on top, and then I've got my soft suede. That was the bit that got cut out of the piece behind, and then Early Espresso for my centre. So for this one I'm just going to layer it up. So let's pop the sunflower down first. Let's do this one flat, like so. And then I'm going to add the soft suede layer with a little bit of wet glue. And remember to not to fill the outside holes. Put it on in the centre part of that, because you don't want it squishing through the holes. And I could take the time and line that up exactly if I wish to, but I don't think we need to today. And then I'm going to pop that one on with a dimensional. So you could... Hi Jane, are you back before you go out? So let me pop that on there. Pop the little centre on, like so, and it's got the little dots at an angle, which is quite sweet. And then let's add that another sentiment. So I've got this piece here, which I think is 3/4 of an inch, and I'm just going to use that same sentiment in espresso. I could use jade. Should I use jade? No, I'm going to use espresso. Just to balance it out. Let me see if I can stamp that relatively straight. There we go. So to use this label punch, I've got this piece of card which I think is 3/4 of an inch. Yes, it is. So it goes in either that slot or that slot, depending on whether you want a flat end or a slightly curved end. So the one I had before was curved, so I'll do this one flat. So you literally just slide it through till it hits the top of the punch. If you turn it over, you can see that it's lined up at the top. I can just punch that. There we go. And then if you wanted to be accurate, you could put the cutout piece here to gauge how big you want that whole label to be. Okay, I'm just going to put it in as is. I can always trim it down and cut it again. Just check it's nice and straight and punch it. There we go. So that is going to sit in there. I could angle it, and for me that's just a little bit too long, so I'm just going to trim each end with scissors and then cut it again. So it's only going to come off a tiny little bit, but for me it was just a few millimeters too long. So let's do the same thing again. Put it in the channel, slide it down, just check it's nice and straight, because sometimes if you've got a small piece it tends to go off at a slight angle. Okay, oops, I moved. There we are. Let's have a look. Looks better. Now actually what I did yesterday was I had it coming in from the side. I am going to cut this edge off, but you can always just have it edged on one side if you prefer. Just going to pop this one in the other end. Make sure it's lined up. There we go. And that's going to pop onto there. Okay, I'm going to put that one on dimensionals. Everybody's gone very quiet this evening. Maybe you're watching something else at the same time. Let me know if you're still watching. Okay, let's pop this on here. And I'm just making it equal along here and up here, so that it's nice and balanced on my card. Oh, Carol's still here. Thank you, Carol. Okay, so 2 sets of sunflowers. Let me bring that down so that you can see them. And then I've got something slightly different for the last card, which I will show you. So I think they're really cute. I really do. That would brighten anybody else's day, wouldn't it? Don't you think? Okay. For my last card, I'm going to use the little foliage pieces. So I cut some of the foliage out of Just Jade. Oh, the sentiment is from Prized Peony. It's a nice sentiment here. So you've got top right, love and thanks to a dear friend. And then we've got my thoughts are with you. Your sweet friendship refreshes the soul. And so sorry for your loss. It's a really stunning set. So I'll be featuring that soon. So my inspiration for this was the papers. So in looking for my blue paper, for my blue sunflower design, I came across this one. What's it got on the other side? Just plain. And I just love the daisies. So I thought, and I love the foliage, and I realised that this foliage looks very similar to the foliage on the paper. So I thought I'd create a card using the daisy punch, the small daisy punch. So let me put the daisy together. So that was my inspiration there. So all I've done is use a small daisy punch and punched out 4 daisies. I used my small 1/2 inch circle punch to punch the centre, and then I've got these pieces of foliage, 2 of each. So what I thought I'd do is just put a daisy here on the left hand side and a sentiment on the right. So same format, but just using a different flower, as it were. So let me grab a piece of grid paper. I just want to do a little bit more work with the daisy first. So I've cut out white, but if you look at the daisy, they have like a petal pink on the very inside. So I thought I'd just recreate that with a sponge. I could do it with a dauber, but I've got petal pink ink, like so. I know this doesn't look very clean, but our sponges come as a complete circle, I promise, and I cut them up into 1/8, sometimes less than that, and when I finished using them for a class, then I put them into the washing machine. But sometimes they do stain rather, especially if I've used a really dark blue, which is why it is clean but stained. So I'm just picking up some petal pink ink, and I'm just going to rub that around the centre of each of the flowers. I could use my blends pens and do some blending. That would also work, but I just want to bring it in very similar to what they have. Now I could have stamped the daisies as well, give it a bit more interest, using Daisy Lane, she says. Yes, Daisy Lane. This one here. So this is the stamp set that matches the daisy punch. So I could have stamped and then punched them out, but I literally just punched them out of white card, because I decided this evening wasn't a stamping evening, it was a die cutting and what have you, putting together evening. 2 and 3, 4. Can't even count tonight. It's Friday tomorrow. I can't believe we're nearly at the weekend already. I don't know if anybody else feels the same as me. And I do actually want a little bit of interest on my yellow circle. So I might introduce a little bit of cinnamon cider ink. I am going to use the same sponge. Perfect. Put my finger in it. So I've got a little bit of cinnamon cider on there. And they sort of had it in the photo, they had it sort of over half, like so. Okay, just gives it a little bit more interest, hopefully. So I'm just going to put that set of flowers together. So I'm just putting a little bit of glue on the back of each one, popping it onto there, just offsetting it slightly. Same with this one, offsetting it slightly. Oops, keep attaching myself to those leaves. And then the last one. Like so. So. And now when you've got the daisies, you can of course pick up the petals. So you can fold them up, you can fold them back. You can do a combination. You can use your bone folder to take some of the layers down, the back layers, like so. And then you can take some of the top layers up. So, you know, entirely up to you. You can sort of have it as you would like it, really. There we go. I'm going to add my centre just with a bit of glue. So I could put that through the embossing fold as well if I wanted to. What you could also do is use that centre and punch it out, because it's got little holes in, hasn't it? See, like that. That will look quite cute. But let's pop that on there for now. There we go. And then I've got my foliage. So what I'm going to do is prepare my card base and then pop my daisy and my sentiment on. I'm trying to see if this has a right way or a wrong way, and I don't think it does. These are coming down, these are going up. So, hello Sandra, thanks for joining us this evening. So here I have a Just Jade piece of card that matches the Just Jade leaves. I've got a rather well used but equally will work piece of bumblebee card. That's where I cut the centre from. And then my piece of DSP is going to go onto the top of that. So I'm just picking up the layers in the paper as much as anything. So I'll pop those layers down. Whoops, daisy. So let's use our seal. A bit up in that corner. There we go. So that layer is going to go down first. So just hover it above until you've got it where you want it, and then pop it down. I'm going to do the same with my layer. I think that's the right way. Let me move this out of the way. So the same treatment, seal on the back, like that. And I think that is the right way. I'm just looking at the shade of the centres. There we go. I'm happy with that, because I could make it go that way. So here we have my daisy from the Daisy Punch, and then this is where I'm just bringing in these pieces of foliage. So I should have 4. I can see 3. 4, no, 3. Has anybody else had this happen? Okay, let's layer these up. So, and obviously you could cut these down and just use the little tips as well as the other pieces, but I'm thinking something like that will do the job. So I'm going to pop this down first on a dimensional and then arrange the foliage around it. And then that will be our third card done. So the layout is the same as you might have gathered for all three cards. And so what I'm going to do is snip this top bit out like so, so that I can use that like so. And then this has got two pieces and this has got the one again. Sort of playing really with how that's going to go. Trying to get it so you can see it against the white of the daisies underneath, not the foliage. You can tell I was never good at flower arranging, can't you? There we go. That will do for my purposes. And then I'm going to stick those down and also add a sentiment. And this one I am going to stamp in Just Jade because I haven't got any espresso on there. So let me grab that ink pad. I could probably actually use one of the sunflower sentiments, which is a bit longer. Thanks a bunch. Because I've got plenty of space for that. So I'll do that one instead. Okay. Oh, I've just found that extra piece has dropped into my little bin. Perfect. So I've got thanks a bunch here. I'm not sure how clean that stamp was. There we go. That Just Jade is a really nice colour. I wasn't quite sure at first because I'm a bit of a granny apple green pear pizzazz person. But I'm warming to that. So what I'm going to do is cut the right hand side and then do the label on the left hand side. So this is just over 3/4 of an inch. So I actually am going to trim it very slightly so that it fits better in the punch. There we go. Oops. So there's 3/4, yes, it was a little bit, it was obviously just an offcut I had. So just positioning that on there, pushing my trimmer top down, perfect. And then I'm going to snip the right hand end. Although I should really probably cut it on the trimmer. And then I want this a little bit shorter. So I'm just cutting the end down a bit. And then I'll just pop it in there. So you can see it fits in better now. I've just trimmed it down. Turn it over to make sure you've got it in, which I hadn't. There we go. I could make that smaller again if I need to, but I think I've got the space on here to get away with it. I could do a larger piece in the jade to make that stand out. Let's pop this these bits of foliage in though. So I'm just going to put a little bit of wet glue on the top and the bottom of the foliage, so it either attaches to the flower. So I've got some on the top, a little bit on the bottom, so it'll either attach to the flower or to the paper underneath. That's one. Now I've found this little bit here. I like the way that they go different directions. So let's put that in. So. And then I'm going to have some here at the bottom. Trim that a bit off. And there we'll be done. So as I say, the dies and everything for this are from the Create Sunflowers set. This particular one uses the daisy punch, but I've just done that to match the flowers. And actually I'm going to cut that off again because I want it a little bit shorter. Guarantee it'll be too short now, can't you? There we go. Just going to use the flat one. There we go. It's better. It was just a little bit out of proportion, wasn't it? So you can either line it up to the edge of the paper, the yellow, or the jade. I'm actually going to line it up to the yellow. And I'll just use some seal for that. There we go. Take it off my table. There we are. Completed. Oh, hi Linda, thanks for joining us. Hope you're resting up today. So there we go. Those are my 3 cards. So this one really is just, although we're using the dies from the sunflower, I've just created the daisy using the daisy punch because I wanted to match the papers. and that's Just Jade as a base. This one here is Just Jade with Soft Suede, and then the sunflower, the big piece of the sunflower is Daffodil Delight, and Bumblebee is the layer on the top. And then the other one we made right at the beginning is the blue one, again using the Designer Series paper, and then the blues are Misty Moonlight, and behind that Night of Navy. So I don't know which is your preferred one, whether you like the yellow sunflower, the blue sunflower, or the daisy. Thanks, Jeanette. Oh, good, Linda, well done. So let me know which is your preferred one of those three. So yellow sunflower, blue sunflower, or the daisy. Linda likes the blues. I was certainly drawn to the blues. I could obviously add a bit of ribbon or something to that as well, or to dots. Thank you, Carol. I have got some Just Jade dots. I think they would get lost in there. I think they'll get lost on there. The yellow ones would look quite nice on here, wouldn't they? Either 3 in the top or just dotted round, but I've only got 2. I could use the cinnamon ones. They're all from the new in colours. Any other favourites? Blue and the daisy. Tracy says blue sunflower. Sorry, it keeps focusing in and out. I'll try not to put my hands in front of the camera too much to stop it doing that. Molly loves the daisy. Good stuff. Oh, Linda. Yes, I'm wondering if that might be in the box that's just arrived for me. Who knows? Scylla says, all lovely, but blue my favourite. Excellent. Well, thank you so much for joining me this evening. It's been lovely to have some company. And I shall be back again tomorrow, Friday at 3 p.m. And I look forward to crafting with you then. So Friday fun, we'll be doing simple sunflowers. There'll be watercolouring tomorrow. Something different and good for beginners because it needs minimal supplies. So that is our plan. So it'll still be sunflowers, but it will be watercolouring. Thank you so much for joining me, everybody. I hope you're able to stay safe and look after each other. Look after yourselves and have a good evening. If you're watching me live, if you've watched me and stuck with me from catch up, thank you so much indeed. I really appreciate it. And this video will be uploaded to YouTube, so you can subscribe to YouTube if you miss any of my Facebook lives, and it will notify you when those get loaded up. Thanks so much for joining me. Oh, excellent, Linda. I'm going to go and open my box now and see what's in there. Thanks so much for joining me again, everybody. You take care now. Bye-bye.